Are live.
And can we give a hand for our beautiful model, Deshani, here today? Thank you. So today we're going to talk about shooting with hard light. Now, how many people are scared when it comes to shooting with hard light? Or have any fears, intrepidations? None. What are some things that could go wrong when you're shooting with hard light? Yes? Yes, so hard light oftentimes shows a lot of texture on skin, which is something people fear. What else can go wrong? Yes? The question that we asked everybody is, what problems can go wrong when it comes to hard light? And one of the things is it can be easier to overexpose. Now, this is a very good comment because basically what happens when you're using hard light is oftentimes your direct reflections inside the skin are going to be brighter than if you're using a softer source, just often because a harder light is brighter in terms of like at the source itself. Oftentimes softer lights are closer, and so they don't have to be as bright to get the same illumination. So you can get higher specular highlights. Or if we want to be scientific, we would call them either like polarized or direct reflections. But we can talk about that later. But the first thing I'm going to do is make shooting with hard light very, very, very attainable for everybody. So I'm going to start with the most bare bones setup that you've ever seen, in which I'm just going to use a light with no reflector, nothing added to it, and we're going to get simple, beautiful light. And today I'm going to use constant light. Oftentimes I use strobes, but I'm using constant light so it's a little easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. And I'm going to be mixing it with all the constant lights that we have here so you guys can see me. But we have enough power, so I think we'll easily be able to get around that, and we will see in the photographs. And if not, Seth can work his magic and turn some lights on and off as we're going. So we're going to start with our first lighting setup. And so now we have an extremely hard light source. I'm going to move over here so that I'm not as blown out as I was when I was over there. And Seth, let me know if we're able to kill these house lights. If not, I think we're okay. I think we've overpowered them quite well. But I want to get directly into taking photographs. And so right now we're using my light to light everything. And it's right here above my computer. And I know approximately here is about 8 feet away from our model. So I'm going to say I have this light about another 4 feet. So the light's about 12 feet away from our subject. And it's about, I'm going to say about 8 feet high. So you can do this inside of a relatively small space, and you'll see there's actually benefits to doing it inside of a small space, especially if it's all white. And so first thing I'm going to do is take a what? Light meter reading. And you know, light meters, I hear a lot of conversation. I feel like there's different types of light meters, right? We have our eyes, which we have to use sometimes. We have the back of our camera. I'm just going to take a quick light meter measurement of our model. I'm at ISO 800, 5.6 at 1/125th of a second, having this constant light on here. If you want to know what my ambient light was, Seth, I'm just going to do this for a second, so no need to turn the other lights on. If we looked at what my ambient light was, we're about 2.0. So now I'm going to go back to my other lights. So there's about a 3-stop difference that I'm gambling with here, because I know with 3 stops, it's not completely canceling out my ambient light, but I know it's pretty much going to wash it out. If I was 2 stops darker, then I would be virtually at complete black. 3-stop difference, I know that there is going to be some detail that could get in the way, but overall, the light that I'm using is overpowering everything. We have Cliff Hauser in the house, that's what's up. And so now I'm going to take my first photograph. And does anybody foresee any problems with this extremely basic lighting setup? And has anybody ever done this themselves? And feel free to chime in online as well as in the house. But this is bare bulb flash pointed at our subject. I took a light meter reading at 5.6. I'm going to open up just a little bit because I know that I like for this to be a little bit poppier. And I'm going to take one photograph just to make sure my lighting is good. And then as we did before, we're going to build a portfolio of images. I want to walk away tonight with like at least 100, 150 photos. We have a question?
They're asking what that light is.
I'm using a Nanlite Forza 500 And it is powered to about 75%. So I do have about 1/3 of a stop more I could get out of this light if I wanted to. But we're going to start with our first picture. I'm going to make sure I'm at 1/125th of a second as I metered. Why 1/125th of a second? Simply because if our subject moves, I know that I won't have any issues. And I'm going to open up just a little bit just because most lenses are a little bit darker than what they're rated for. So I'm going to be at about 4 or 5 at 1/125th of a second.
Camera and lens?
I'm using a Fuji GFX 102, and I'm using a 45 to 100 millimeter zoom, which is probably about, what's that, like a 35 to 85, somewhere around there?
45 to 1 what?
45 to 100.
28 to 80.
And like it's about a 28 to 80. So now we're going to take our first picture of our lovely model de Shining. So for this first one, somewhat serious, I want you to kind of turn your head towards the light, chin down just a little bit. Beautiful. Looking right into the camera. And let's incorporate some hands into this first shot. Lovely. And we can see our first shot right out of the camera. And we've used hard light to get a wonderful exposure. And now we're going to play around a little bit because, like I said, I want to build a portfolio of images. So now, can you guys count me out? So every time I shoot, just count down from 10 until we get to 1, because I want to build 100 money shots by the end of tonight. That's my goal. Beautiful. I'm going to crop down just right below your elbow. Lovely. And now looking out of camera that way. Beautiful job. Now I'm going to come in a bit closer, so I'm going to have you looking directly into the lens. And I'm going to change my angle just a little bit. I'm going to come over to your left-hand side.
No one's
and I'm
counting.
going to have you lean back just a little bit more.
No one's counting.
I know, no one's counting. No, I know how to get people to count. I got a secret. I got a secret for everybody who counts. There's going to be a competition. So I thought about this ahead of time. What do I have inside this bag? Oh, she's smiling. She's smiling. Seth, what do I have inside this bag?
No.
Oh,
No.
See, he doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it. I'm having an Oprah moment. I got $50,000. I got $50,000. Yes. You see this? We got $50,000 if people count down. So now can I get you to count down? Look at that. Look at that. We got $50,000. All right?
Don't forget, we're at 42 West 18th Street. If you want to follow them home, go for it.
Down. No, I'm going to put it right here. You think they're looking at you? They're looking at them. I'm going to drop that right over there. What you don't put my money down. You can't keep people saying. Now people get excited when $50,000 comes out, because that's what you're going to get if you count down. All you people not counting down, you're going to get a gel. That's all you're going to get is a gel. So now that we're at 7, can we please count down? All right, this is a $50,000 countdown. You're a little happier now, aren't you? You know what? Here. Put it inside the coat. That's for you. You can tuck it inside the coat. You can just hide it. Yeah, don't just throw it in there. Just act. You can hold on to $10,000. Yes. See that? You guys want to know how to get your model to stay in the seat? If she gets up, she's going to drop the money. Beautiful job.
I would just quit and walk out. You got paid. Get out.
Perfect. And we're going to go 5 more images. Beautiful. 4, 3, 2. Love the hand position there. Sometimes just let you. Now I don't even pay. I pay you. You got numbers that ain't even coming up yet. Love. And give me a perfect profile. All the way to the side. Yes. Beautiful. And so the thing that we get scared about the most with hard light is shadow control. So one of the things I heard someone say was details. You know, and because this gentleman asked the question, guess what? You get $10,000, sir. You get $10,000. There you go. There you go. We're just making people rich today. You don't need to be on Oprah when you can come on to Adorama. Just throwing money around. Just throwing money around. So I'm going to turn my light off right here, Seth, if you want to bring the house lights back up. And we got Truple in the back of the room. Truple just came back from Burning Man. So if you want to hear interesting stories about someone who just found, I'm not going to mention any religious names, but let's say someone's name starts with a J, and feel like they've been reborn, you could probably talk to Truple. Because you guys know how it is when you get those friends who come back from Burning Man, and they say, you would not believe. You would not believe. And you know what, Truple? You probably need 10 grand just to get home, so I'm sure you burnt all your money up at Burning Man. There's $10,000 for you. Okay. So where people go wrong with hard light is when it comes to positioning. Don't get carried away. So when most people start shooting with hard light, they do this. And then they want to ask why they don't like it, right? The positioning of hard light changes everything. So for this is what some photo nerds would call split lighting. So I'm just going to light half of her face. So if you do me a favor and just look straight at me. So now I've basically just lit half of her face. And this can result in images. I almost don't want to take a bad picture. So this one you only have to count out one. So I'm only going to take one bad photo. No, you can leave them on for this one because it's going to be very, very bright. It's so close. And so I'm at F13 there. I'm going to shoot about F11 just to open up a little bit. And what do I do with my camera? So F11. And by the way, this is a 120 watt light. And I believe it's at about 100%. And if you ask our model, she'd probably say even that's like a bit bright. Would you say that's a bit bright? Yeah. And so one of the things you want to watch out when shooting with continuous lights is, I know back when I used to do interviews, anytime we light someone, if we were at ISO 800, anytime the light would go above F4 at a normal frame rate of 24 frames per second, it would start to get like a little straining. And so when you're lighting with continuous lights, one of the benefits of using strobes is you can use more power while having less fatigue. And so that's one reason where for photography, sometimes, although constant lights are doable, you may want to use a strobe, especially if you have someone in front of a bright light all day. Like, could you take this all day? Probably not. Could you take it for $10,000? Not even for $10,000. All right, looking right into the camera.
This is a new photo nerd game show. Like, how much light can you take?
And so now we're going to start with someone who's very photogenic, very easy to photograph, and photographing them with split lighting, you see that the light is very, very harsh. And this is a bicolor light, and I probably have a little bit of color dialed in, but for speed, and I only said that for anyone who has any questions, I'm going to make the quick adjustment inside of Capture One.
For you guys in the chat, the links to the lights are in there. So this is the 120B, the link that just got.
And now watch what happens when we simply change the position of this light from the side, in which it's very unflattering. And I'm going to bring it to the front, and I'm going to try to bring it somewhat to a similar distance so that we're not cheating. And I'm going to raise it up so it's not as much in her face, because you can see she kind of doesn't like that. So I'm going to have you look directly under the light. And yes, I had the light at 3,600 Kelvin. I should have checked that. That's my first mistake of the evening. But it wasn't a $10,000 mistake, so don't get carried away. And now I'm going to bring the light directly overhead. I'm going to meter it again. Is that okay? I have another question.
Yeah, someone's asking what film simulation are you using on the GFX?
Anytime I shoot with the GFX, I use Astia. Why do I use Astia? Because that's what I shot when I shot film. And so it's just the one that I feel like is the most natural. And Seth likes the new Reala. Here, I'm just changing my white balance back since I changed this to 5600. I meter to F9. I'm going to open up just a little bit. And now I'm going to have you look directly into the camera. Now I'm going to get this directly overhead. And if you're looking directly at me, chin down just a little bit. You can angle your head to the left just a little bit so I get a little bit of cheekbone. Great job. And a little bit more sizzle in the eyes. Beautiful job. And now, simply by moving the position of our light, and I will go back and make that little color adjustment to that one. And I'll open it up a little bit to about there, just so it feels a little bit similar. Oop, I didn't have both of them selected. To do a quick comparison. But now you can see just by simply changing the position of our light, we have a completely different picture where we're still showing a lot of texture, but now we're showing much less. And we have a much more flattering image. And so when you're shooting with hard light, the one piece of advice I would give anyone is start with the position of the light. If you're lighting somebody with side lit, you're gonna get very deep shadows, which oftentimes people won't find nearly as flattering. But if you light them directly from the front, or let's say 45 degrees one way or 45 degrees another way, what you're gonna run into is you're gonna have a much more flattering shot, even though we're dealing with hard light. And I would say this one, because one second, I'm gonna turn this down really quick. But do you guys see the size of the light source, how small it is? So I would say this falls into the category of like an extremely hard light. And so this is, a source like this, being that it's so small when you're using it up close, it will start to mimic the qualities of sunlight very, very much more closely than something that was, let's say, a lot bigger. Because the larger your light source gets relative to the size of your subject, what happens? Man, you guys I need real money for this crowd. Yes, it gets softer. What's in the real money pocket? Maybe that'll help. Okay, what you got for me, though? All right, so now we're gonna knock down a few more pictures this way. Except I'm gonna bring my light a little bit lower, and I'm gonna dim it. Does anyone know how to dim hot lights by one stop? I'll just turn that out of your face really quick. It's like a $10,000 question. If I have this on power 100 and I want to take one stop out of it, what do I do?
Bring it to 90?
50.
50, right.
Yes, most continuous lights these days work linearly, and every time you take half the power out, you will reduce the light by about a stop. I do wish somebody would put a function in that worked based on f-stops, but now I just reduced the light by 50%, and you can see that was a one-stop difference. So there to there is one stop. And I did that to be a little bit kinder on our subject's eyes. I'm gonna come over, I'm just gonna remeter. I'm pretty much the same because I brought the light closer. And can we count this time, please? I want to bring you closer to the backdrop. You can just move the chair back a little bit more, and you won't run into anything. It's only Seth's backdrop. He doesn't mind. That's good.
It's already wrecked thanks to Cliff and Dan and everyone else that shoots.
And Triple. Triple's messed up the papers sometimes as well. Perfect. And Seth, if you don't mind killing the lights for me. And these lights weren't adding that much, so I'm not going to remeter. I'm just going to open up just a touch. And now, again, we're going to go for like 10 photos. And these are going to be more portraits, so I'm going to come down just like a little bit lower on these. Actually, I'm going to crop just right below the glasses. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
8.
Thank you. And give me something even with like the eyes closed and head back. You know, I'm coming like a little tighter.
7. 6.
Perfect. I'm becoming a little tighter. I love this. Kind of like a beauty shot.
5. 4.
I know you guys need to see the flash going off. And give me like a perfect profile. Love.
3.
And we'll incorporate a hand into it for the last one. A hand, like up and by the face, yes. Beautiful job. And I love it with the eyes closed. I actually look up past the light. Love that. Beautiful.
One.
Beautiful. And so another thing that I like for people to do when you're taking pictures is take your time. If you're taking 100 pictures to get 10, just focus on taking 10 good photos. If you find yourself, you're getting at home and you're editing down from a bunch of different pictures, start shooting less, directing more. One of the things you can do is sometimes we take pictures to communicate, right? So if we don't know what to say to our subject, we'll take another photo. We'll take another photo. We'll be a little bit nervous, we'll take another photo. We'll be working through trying to get the exposure right, we'll take another photo. Explain to your subject what you're doing. So if I'm here and I'm not happy with something, I'll say, Deshani, you know what? If you can look towards me, I'm just trying to like balance out the shadow under your chin. So I like it when you put your chin up like that, but I really like it when your jawline shows. So I like the way your head is currently like turned. I really like that. And so kind of like looking up at the screen as if you were looking at yourself, because you are looking at yourself. Perfect. and so be very deliberate in terms of what you do. And now looking at me and kind of like both hands kind of under your face like so.
Both hands?
Yes. And kind of a little asymmetrical. Bring one up just a little bit higher. Love that. And I know you want to look at yourself, but yes, eyes closed. I like that little smile, just a little smile. Beautiful. Be very deliberate with every photograph that you take. There's no reason to take bad pictures. And the one thing you guys messed up during this presentation is I wanted someone to say that they were very scared when it came to shooting with hard light. But so far, can everybody digest everything that we've done here? Nothing here has been fancy, right? I haven't even put a light shaper on this light yet. I'm using it just completely bare bold. Another cool thing about hard light is that you can use it to become like very moody, right? Again, right now we're just working with positioning. I'm not changing anything but the position of this light. And it doesn't get any more simple than this. No one can complain that I'm using expensive pro photo lights. Even though they Pro Photo is my light of choice, but for this one, I said, you know what? I'm going to keep it very easy.
You know what? You're right. I think you've converted me. I think I'm going to stop shooting with these expensive lights and just go all in on.
And so now Cliff is threatening people's lives.
Love you,
So
Cliff.
now we want something that's very, very dramatic, right? And the thing we want to do here is just make sure our direction plays into this. So on this one, I want you to kind of act very afraid, right? You're like standing under a street light, your Uber driver just pulled up, and you said you're not getting in the car with that Uber driver. And so you're lying about who you are now because you don't want him to get upset with you, but you know he pulled up looking like Seth, and and he had way too many tattoos, and you're just like, you know what? This is not gonna work.
What's too
Right?
many? What's a quote of too many tattoos?
And so right now I'm in like around F14. And so for this one, I want you kind of like looking down, you're kind of scared. You don't know if you're actually gonna make it home tonight.
It's that Uber driver from Craigslist.
You're telling yourself, I want my parents to ask the question, do you know where your children are? So they could come save me.
Just activate Find My iPhone and just take the ride. Take the ride.
And so now you're kind of like looking down. I kind of want your cheekbone so it faces the light. So if you kind of tilt your head up like this towards the light, yes. And you're kind of like looking down in a way somewhat disheveled. And maybe you're kind of like holding yourself like you're cold outside and it's raining. Yes, and I like the little shivering. Beautiful job. You're actually trying not to laugh. But you're looking kind of down. Again, just think about Seth and you're...
You know what?
All right.
You know what, Ab?
All right.
Live on the
No.
19th. I'm going to remember everything.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And, you know, you're imagining your face on a milk carton. And
What is this, the 80s? What is it?
And so now what we're doing is we're playing into the light, right? We've changed the position. We're kind of playing into what's going on. I still position her face so that we get something that's somewhat flattering. And the thing is, photographers, that we forget the most is some people won't leave this line. The other thing you have to do is you have to move around a little bit. So now I'm going to come to this side, and I'm going to have you do the same pose. And I'm going to have you bring your nose towards me a little bit more, but your chin still the other direction that it was originally. Perfect. And then slowly turn your chest towards me so I see a little bit more of the front of your face. Perfect. And now just bring your eyes towards me. Into the camera. Perfect. Beautiful. And so now by changing my position, we have a completely different photograph. This was position number 1. This was position number 2. I didn't change anything but my own position. Oftentimes I feel as if though when we're shooting, we're not thinking about what the end result is that we want. And so now, as she's kind of waiting on this street corner, you get more of this idea of like there's something moody and dramatic going on behind her, and we're starting to leave the studio just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like we're not really chasing something completely out of ordinary here, but the thing I want to focus on here is your position relative to the model in the light can change everything, and it's something you have to be very, very, very cognizant of. And so now I want to get into some fun light shapers that we can use when we start to explore hard light. And so we have the option of either working with a Fresnel or a spotlight next. What's your choice? But first, let's get some portfolio images out of this. Give me like 10 poses, all of them in this kind of like scary, moody love.
10.
Thank you. 9.
Let's go, after every one. 8,
8.
ah.
And now give me some different hand positions, almost like you're a little scared or apprehensive. Yes, like you're kind of holding your chain because you're trying to hide it because you don't want Seth to come steal it. He's walking down the street with a pizza box and you're scared that he may come jack you.
Nothing more frightening than a pizza box.
I like that, looking away. Beautiful job. And I accidentally bumped my aperture a little bit, so now I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna open up just a little bit. 7. Yes, that was a shot as the Seth just pulled away and you knew that you were gonna get home safe. So I love that one. Perfect.
4.
That was your hugging your groceries because you know you're gonna have a meal tonight. And I like that face completely down in shadow. Beautiful. And I love the gesture there.
3.
3. And for this next one, give me that same pose except looking right into the camera.
2.
And last one. Now this one, you're kind of fixing your collar, like you know like that you've gotten away. And your chin is up, your forehead's up a little higher, and you're kind of like looking off, seeing his taillights. And you're kind of telling yourself like, yeah, I got away from you, sucker. Love it. All right, so now we're gonna work with, do you guys wanna work with a spotlight next or a Fresnel?
No.
Wow, we're gonna get to both. Why do you guys wanna work with a Fresnel? See, how easy was that? So, this is a Fresnel lens. Even the chat wants a Fresnel. Wow. Everybody wants a Fresnel. So this is a Fresnel. And we're going to have a little bit of fun using this because I think that this is an unbelievably hard light shaper to use. The reason I call it a Fresnel lens is because it kind of comes from like the construction of like a lighthouse in which they kind of like really want to focus light. I love it because it homogenizes light a little bit more than a normal reflector. Does anybody not know what I mean by that? You guys aren't saying anything. What do I mean by that? Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So what most manufacturers don't tell you about their reflectors is you look inside this reflector, oftentimes hard reflectors create 2 light sources, right? You have the light source created by the reflector, and then you have the light source created there. What does this do? It creates 2 shadows, right? But oftentimes you don't see them, especially if your subject's not very close to the background. So one of the reasons I was using this bare bulb is because personally, I think it looks a little bit better than when you put a reflector on it. So let's watch what happens when I take this light, I bring it all the way back, and now watch what happens when I take this photograph. And by the way, this happens with most manufacturers' hard reflectors. And it's one of the reasons, depending on what you're doing, you may want to use a Fresnel. So I have heard about F10. The important thing here is going to be to look at the shadows. When we talk about using hard light, oftentimes we want to look like sunlight or natural light. The quality of the shadows is a huge giveaway in terms of what type of light you use. So now I'm going to take her photograph. Beautiful job. And when I zoom in on these shadows, what do you see?
You guys are mad quiet. It's like uneasy.
Does everybody see the double shadows that we have there? That's because if I show you this reflector, and this isn't something just with Nanlite, this pretty much happens with every reflector from every brand, even very expensive ones. Do you see that there's like a ring and then you see the light in the middle? That ring you see in there is another light source. So this has now just become two light sources, and you see this double shadow that you're getting there is a clear giveaway that this is like a studio light, right? If you're really, really, really picky, this is where you would want to use a Fresnel, where you still want something that's focused, that's controlled, but you actually start to get cleaner shadows. So now we're going to switch over to the Fresnel light. Dun, dun, dun. That wasn't clap worthy. Seth is right. I don't know what got into this
All right,
crap.
listen, he's not shooting another frame in here until everybody screams at once. I'm not letting this go on anymore.
No,
One, the count of
you don't
three,
have to-
everybody scream.
You don't have to bully them.
On the count of three, everybody screams at once, or I'm just shutting the stream down. One,
don't
two,
shut-
three, scream!
Yay!
One more. It's Ab, dude. Ab's here like once a year. 1, 2, 3, scream! You feel better? You can talk now. This is New York. It's your house. Let's play around a little bit. Thank you.
You know what, Seth?
Oh, look, the chat's screaming too, if that's what you call screaming. In AOL 1998, sure.
I know you like fake blood. But I guess,
You know what? I'll use this on my demo when I get back.
you thought you weren't giving that back?
This is actually this is good.
No, this is like real prop money. So you know why? You know why you should keep prop money in your house? If people break in, you put the prop money in a place that's very easy to find, and they think they just scored, right? You get in someone's house, you find 50,000, you leave, right? So it's designed to get your burglars out faster. But now we're going to move to our Fresnel, right?
It's actually pretty good, except for the band here.
You know what? Don't start critiquing the fake money. All right? I'm going to come over. I'm going to take another light meter reading. We barely lost anything there.
I'm gonna kill this.
I think so, right?
Just a touch.
I'll just kill it. You want another reading?
No, I'm just going to continue with what I had. Perfect. I'm going to take another photograph. And now we're going to compare these two images. I know you like that, don't you?
I mean, it's pretty.
Now you're happy. Teresa, this is what it took.
I'll use it for a prop for my demo.
If we spill some blood on that, like, he'd be as happy as they come.
There will be blood in my next demo.
And so now the thing I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take off the Fresnel lens, right? Don't worry, Seth, you're not going to have to go back there and get it and hurt yourself again. It only fell. No, it didn't go all the way back. It didn't go all the way back. So I'm going to take another light meter reading. So now we're at 5.6, so we did lose a substantial amount of light. Do I have any that I could turn that up? I'm already at 100, so no, but I think I'll still be okay. Yeah, it would be good. Now I'm going to take one more photograph looking right at me. Beautiful job. Right, and now we're going to look at shadows.
Oh, the temperature changed too.
And so we can see that well, what happened is on this one, there's a lot more light bouncing around, so it's filling in the shadow. Using the Fresnel, we were able to get a sharper shadow that also has more shadow contrast. Shadow contrast is one of the things we're going to get into next, because we've talked about changing the position in everything of our lights, but one of the things that we also want to do at some point is talk about how we utilize the environment to make a hard light less hard. But before we do that, we're going to shoot a little bit more with the Fresnel. Yes, sir?
Is it possible we could see the detail on the face with these three?
Oh, absolutely.
Repeat it.
Repeat what?
Repeat what he said.
Oh, we were just asked, is it possible to see like the different details on the face given the different reflectors that were used? So between the Fresnel, the bare bulb, and the normal reflector, you see we still pretty much have the same amount of specularity. And when we get down to the regular reflector, the bare bulb, you can see with these two shadows, we do have some ambient light from the room creeping in. This is, again, where we would want, what I thought was just light bouncing around too is also just some ambient light, probably from this light up here, is starting to bleed in just a little bit. So you can take back what I said earlier in terms of it just light bouncing around the room and doing that. It was actually having a second light in the space doing that. So the reflectors you use when you want to use hard light, I think are very, very important. And we're going to do a few more using the Fresnel, and I'm going to talk about why Fresnels are some of my favorite light shapers. Everybody should go out and get a Fresnel lens, because now they're basically cost to be very, very easy to use. The one thing you do want to do is, on a light source that's this small, I wouldn't want to use a Fresnel lens bigger than this. Ideally, a Fresnel lens can really fill this entire lens, so you do want to get one somewhat matched to the light that you're buying. You don't just want to mix and match any random Fresnel lens. I've used a larger Nanlite Fresnel lens like this on strobes and had really good luck with that. But now we're going to get a little dramatic. I should turn this off first before I put this on, so I stop blinding myself and you guys walk away with all my money. Okay, so now I'm going to move this out. And for those that haven't noticed, one of my favorite little pieces of kit is this little Kupo arm here. Seth, we'll get the link after this, but I love this because it just allows me to easily boom a light over without having to adjust the arm. And I had a sandbag around here somewhere. I'll put that on there to be a little bit safer. But I consider this arm to be somewhat dummy proof, meaning I know I can just zoom it in and out without having to adjust and counterweight things. And I wouldn't use it with a light that's too heavy. And to make your life easier, I'm just going to ask you to pull your chair forward about 4 feet. 4 feet is about right to where that black thing is. Right there is good. Perfect. And to make my life a little easier, if you can move over to your right just a touch. And sometimes when directing a model, I like to give them the right based on their position, but I find hand gestures always work the best, because sometimes people are trying to go left or right. Or if you work with a lot of people where English isn't their first language and you're like left or right, I find that they're like, all right, I got you. So now, the other thing I really love about using a Fresnel lens is the use of barn doors. And because it's a hard light source, I can cut it this close. If this was a very large light source and I tried to cut the light by having something this close to it, it would almost have zero effect. But in terms of what this does to our shot, to make things a little bit more dramatic, I think is huge. So we're going to start with some before and after. I'm going to start with the Fresnel the way it is now, where everything is open.
Is that bad?
Yes. He is fast. Everybody give a hand to Seth, because if not, he's going to try to keep more of my prop money.
I don't need your pity claps.
You guys keep clapping like that, he's shutting down the stream. I'm letting you guys know that right now. So I was at F13. I'm going to go in a little hot.
I'm going to cut.
Yes, please. Thank you. I'll take another meter reading, although I know it won't matter that much. We're pretty much in the same spot. And so now we're going to see what happens. And to give you a little bit better before and after, for here, I'm going to use a tripod. Again, so I can be as illustrative as possible. I almost never use tripods, but I find for teaching purposes, using a tripod can be very helpful because then the before and after is a little bit more purposeful. And so here, we're going to take this first image, and we're not going to use the barn doors at all. And so looking right into the camera, lean forward just a little bit. Perfect. And so we have our first image. We have a beautiful exposure on her. Give me the same things. Give me kind of arms on the shoulders. I mean on your hip.
Nope.
Yes. Perfect. So kind of widen the shot up just a little bit. Perfect. And chin up. Yes. Beautiful. Love that. Again, I'm working towards my 100 images here. Perfect. And so now I'm going to play around a little bit and just use our barn doors. Right? I'll probably cut some light, so I'm going to remeter a bit. And I see I lost some light, so I'm going to open up. I was at F13 before, I just went down to F9. And so now looking right at me. Perfect. I like your head where it is, positioned right in the middle. And now you see the results that we're using the barn doors. We've completely cut out all this outside light. Now, Seth, can you do me a favor? Could you pump the blue all the way up?
I can get,
If not, then don't worry about
you
it.
want these blue or you want the tubes?
The tube's blue.
Tubes. You're not going to get that much out of the blue.
No, it pumps. That's about all we
Yeah,
get.
but I can get these blue.
No. This is a lighting problem that we'll work around. So no. Keep it. I like this. I like this.
Well, I'm going to kill that one so it doesn't kill it to the blue.
Cool. I like this challenge. So here, I see she's now at about F9. And I see here on this blue in the background, we're at 1.3. And that's just too far apart. So if, let's say we're at 1.4, we get to 2.0, and we get to 2.8, and we get like about a 3-stop difference. So I can just take this light here, which is now at 100. I'm going to go to about 25%. I'm going to remeter. I'm at 4 or 5. I still want to cut about another stop out of that. So I'm going to go to 12%. I'm going to remeter. I'm at 2.8, and I'm going to get you looking right into the camera. I'm going to go to F4, and I'm going to go to a 60th of a second because I can't get 2.8 on this lens. And I'm going to have you look right into my camera. And so people ask, why do I use a light meter? That's why. In order to get from here to Seth turning on his lights and get to here, I did it in one move. Instead of guessing my way to match what the ambient lights in the background were.
And yet they don't clap. I don't know. They don't care.
'Cause they're mesmerized. And so now I'm working with some of the lights that I have here available, and we're going to take a few portfolio pictures. Are you ready? I would ask Seth to give me red, but I don't want to get carried away.
It's not going to be that sad.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
You want to put...
No, I'll keep these blue. It's fine. We'll knock this out. Perfect. And now we'll give me some images. Love.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nah, and give me a little head turn, like looking out that way. And give me a perfect profile. Turn all the way to the side, but still kind of have your head in the light. Yes, perfect. Love. Thank you. I'm going to come in just a little bit tighter. Beautiful job. And we'll incorporate some hands again.
You guys are killing me.
Love. I'm gonna just give it a little bit of a turn. I'm gonna go like to there, right? And now looking at me again. Watch what happens here. At least give a ooh, because that's a ooh, right? We get that little turn coming across, right? Love that. Beautiful. 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 So that's why I use a light meter. Oh, go ahead.
Could you get this same effect with the spotlight?
Could I get the same effect with the spotlight? Let's throw the spotlight on there. Look at that. See, that's what I'm talking about for a good question. So let's take this off, right? Let's throw on the spotlight. So the answer is yes. I like the way that the Fresnel falls off. Spotlights, I think, are great. Sometimes we do run into having some artifacts. Like artifacts meaning like some things are like a little unnatural. This one has very few, if any. And so now I'm going to, I can't rotate it, but I can use these blades to kind of simulate that line that we had. Go there, I'm gonna go there. Now with the spotlight, I'm gonna defocus it to about there. And I'm gonna have to raise this up a touch to about there. So to answer your question, I would say that due to the fact I can't easily just rotate it, I'm not getting there nearly as quickly. And actually, I should remount the spotlight so that the center of gravity is a little different. And I'll tilt that down to about there. And I'll remeter. And again, you're seeing me do this real time, trying to replicate it as much as I can. And I would say, so far, I'm failing miserably, but we're gonna get close. And I would say there's pretty close.
The
I wanna
chat
give a little bit more light.
The chat's asking, what do you mean by artifacting?
Artifacts will be if like the fall off isn't perfectly smooth, if sometimes the edges you can run into like chromatic aberration, which I'm not really seeing here, but we'll take a light meter reading. So I'm just trying to get that to 2.8 and we're at 6.3. So the spotlight did give us substantially more power and I'm at power 12. So now I'm going down to, this is 3% on this spotlight. And I'm at 3.2. So now on the spotlight, I'm at 2%. So this is only 2%. And I'm at 2.5. So I'm gonna go to 3. I'd rather be, a little bit brighter than a little bit under and looking right at me. And I'm gonna tilt this up just a little bit so I match the frame. And that's how I would get there if I was using a spotlight. So it's similar, but not the same. Yes? Why does that matter? It actually depends. It depends.
A friend of mine just purchased a spotlight, and I was trying to figure out which one I would stay around with.
I would say, I get the question a lot, what is like your favorite light shape or what's your, for what? For me, it all depends on what my goal is, what shadow quality I'm going for. I mean, as much as I talked about shadow quality, did I drop it? The huge benefit to using this is power. If I'm outside, this is gonna be my go-to. So I think there's a different tool depending on what you're looking to do. I think you have to find the one that fits your workflow better. Sometimes I may pack the Fresnel because it's just smaller and I know I want to use this defocused anyway. If I want to get so a big difference is if I want to get, Seth, if you can kill the lights for me again really quick. If I want to get, sorry, I should have waited. That's my fault. Look at that. She caught the frame still. But if I want to get a sharp line like that, then I'm going to go with the spotlight. A Fresnel's not going to give me that type of cut. Any other questions? Yes.
Would you change how you approach it depending on the facial shape of your subject?
That's a really good question. And the question that we just had is, would I change what I'm doing depending on the facial shape of the person? And when I work with people, I'm not one of those people who could put out a posing guide or have certain rules. It's like what you need to do. I just work very intuitively. You know, I try to really focus on the person's perceived strengths and weaknesses, because depending on what I want to show, the strength could be something, I may want to show all this texture and lines, and the person may not want that. So I look at what they want, and then I would choose a light shaper based upon that. You know, I think that the lost art in photography is decision making. And you should approach every picture knowing exactly what you want, or you should have a process that gets you there. But I feel as if though you always have to make a decision every step of the way. No problem. You are very welcome. I feel like that's what makes us different than computers, you know? 1 second, I'm taking the spotlight off. I also like working with hot lights because you can just play with them while they're still turned on and you don't break them. You know I'm about to break something here. Why are you always laughing at me? Like, she's always laughing. You see that? Give somebody $10,000 and they laugh at you. You know, the funny part of this is one day I am going to give someone $10,000. You're like, man, that's fake. I don't want it. That's fake. And then it's going to be like a real $10,000. Now all you guys are thinking like, you know what? I always got to act like it's real. I always got, because one of those stacks could be real. Now everybody's thinking like, man, what if he put a real stack up in there? I'm going to Sizzler. Yeah. You can't have your New York pizza argument once we start talking about Sizzler. They ain't got no Sizzler in New York. You gotta go to the Midwest.
There's a good reason.
All right, so now we're going to kill the blue lights, and we're gonna go back to just using our normal, everyday hard lights. And so next, what I'm gonna go over is how to use our environment. I'm gonna turn this bad boy on. And it makes a huge difference when we're using hard light, meaning whether you decide to paint your walls white, whether you decide to paint your walls black, it makes a huge difference. Or have someone just change your light when you don't even know it's there. That was called the Seth control.
You're not shooting yet, so how about we not melt out my sensors here?
Oh. You know, get the new red algorithm or whatever in those Nikons, and we wouldn't have this issue. I only can be shot raw. So you take this little H.264 and go somewhere with it. How you feel about that?
Oh, man, we're losing connection on the stream. I don't know what's happening. Oh, your mic's going in and out. What's happening here, Ab?
So now what I'm going to do, let me get some money away. Look at that. People just dropping stacks all over the place.
You're dropping something.
I'm telling you, it's my packaging material. And so now what we're going to do is, I'm going to, not awkwardly, if I can have you stand up really quick, Deshani, I'm going to move this. And I just want to make sure that I don't make a move where excellent. You can just stand right over in the corner. No, it's fine. Or you could stand by Seth. You just may not come back. So I'm going to take this B
I was
flat.
fully rehabilitated. I'm no longer considered dangerous. Thank you.
And I'm going to put this in the corner here. And I'm going to take two photos, one on the white side and another one on the black side. And we'll be able to see the difference, because now we're using our environment to mitigate some of the problems that we have with hard light. One of them being called shadow contrast. Shadow contrast is basically how dark that hand shadow is compared to like the highlight. Sometimes by lessening that, we can make a light look less hard. So we're going to take one picture using the white side, and then we're going to take the other picture using the black side, which some people call negative fill, and you're going to see the huge difference between the two. So if I can have you come, and you're going to basically try to stand as close to this. You could even put like a hand up here and just kind of be like kind of close to this wall.
Don't put weight on it.
Just don't. With you, it won't fall. Don't worry. Yeah. So I'm going to move this. I'm just going to swing that out of the way so we don't get a shadow. I'm going to move this light stand out of the way. I'm going to put our camera in a place where it doesn't move. About right Actually, I want to put it over here. I'm going to widen up just a little bit. And the thing I want everyone to look at here is going to be the shadow side of her face. I like that kind of looking towards the actual white background. Yes, that's beautiful. You can remember this pose when I move everything around. That would be amazing. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna get a quick light meter measurement. I'm at 2.5 because I'm gonna turn my light down.
What do you want?
Oh, thank you.
What do you want?
If I can get back to 5, go to, can you go to a little bit more? Perfect, right there. Happy, a little happy
Stops
medium.
of light by percentage. You see that?
So now I'm gonna go in about F4, perfect. And you're gonna look towards the wall. Let me adjust my exposure back to 125 before someone calls it out. Take a photograph. Again, we're not guessing. So now you see that picture, right? Again, I'm using this, I've been bare bowl pretty much all of today. Now if you can step back out, I'm just gonna turn this around. Do this as gracefully as humanly possible.
While he's making an annoying noise with that foam core, you guys can hit like. It's only half of you done that so far. Ab feeds his family with likes. He needs a validation.
No, I feed my
Smash like.
family with counterfeit bills. That's what I do. And I'll have you step back in.
And don't forget to hit subscribe. Every demo out of this stream space happens on this channel. Hit subscribe.
You simply have to move states every 30 days, and they can't catch you. I love that. I'm gonna have you back up just a little bit, and I'm gonna bring your left arm up, kind of holding the jacket closed. Love that. Come forward just a touch. Right there is good. I wish his V-flat wasn't so worn out. I've never seen the black side turn into an actual reflector.
I wish your routine wasn't.
But
Wish your routine wasn't so worn out.
cool, and now we'll kill all the lights really quick, right? And now we're gonna go side by side. And now,
That V-flat survived a lot.
if you look at these two images, simply by changing the background, the shot on the right-hand side looks like it's very, very hard light, but the shot on the left-hand side looks as if it's very soft, because the only thing we did here is we reduced the overall shadow contrast. So here, there's a lot of contrast between the shadow on this side of her face and this part of her face. And here you can still see the eyelash here. There's still a huge amount of contrast here, the same as what we did here, but overall, we reduced the shadow contrast. How you would do this normally, you would introduce a fill light. So if you're using a very hard light because you want to get all this beautiful detail and specularity in the skin, but you want the light to feel softer, just use your environment in order to get your light to be softer. Let it bounce around. So now, let's take some photos in this light. Oh, I turned it all the way off.
Oh, yeah, you powered it.
I'm gonna turn this light back on. And we're gonna get back to our portfolio pictures. So you see my crop. You give me like 10 frames, they're all on you. Maybe they'll count, maybe they won't. I don't know. But I've learned no matter what, never talk trash about the audience. Take it all out on Seth.
You guys can leave comments though for Ab on this live stream.
So now
all
we're
you
gonna-
want.
So now give me 10 shots. Give me some looking at the board, some looking back at the light. And I like when the hands kind of stay up in the frame. Thank you. I'm even shooting horizontal for them on chat. Let me give them a full image here.
You're at 1 hour.
Cool. And then after this, we'll take questions. After I get 10 photos on this side. You guys don't even have to count anymore. I'm over it.
They can't count.
Perfect. And bring both kind of hands up here. Yes, perfect. And looking back over your shoulder. Let me just go to full screen here. Don't mind the tape showing in the crack of Seth's V flat. Beautiful.
That is a 15-year-old V flat from the original event space, guys.
Stop making excuses.
I think it's a
And now you
miracle
can
it
even
survived.
turn into the light just a little bit.
It's an artifact.
3 more. Yes, perfect. 1, 2.
It'll get there.
Perfect. Now we're gonna switch back to the white side, just so we get some pictures there. No. No, this is the Seth World V flat. It comes with patina.
I just want to say I inherited this battle damage thing from Daniel Norton. So
And now we're gonna shoot some on the white side. Again, this is just all bare bulb. Now shooting kind of with our model positioned near our white wall. Perfect, come a little closer to the wall. And come a little bit forward for me. Perfect, I'm gonna change my camera position to about here. So I pick up a little bit more of the shadow. Sorry that I have my back turned towards you, but you'll see the results, which you won't comment on, but I'm gotten used to that. Perfect, perfect, and looking back towards the light. Love, and I'm gonna take the camera off the tripod and get a few more crops because I hate staying inside the same place. I'll be giving this tripod away to the next person who, yeah, you guys are done with that one. You thought you were getting something. Beautiful. And I'm gonna get a little tighter. Yeah, they thought they were getting a free tripod.
no,
Love
there's
that.
no fake blood on the V flat. I promise.
Beautiful job. And I love that, almost like the sun is just hitting you and you're on an island in a trench coat. I don't know where that works, but it's some island it works. Whatever island Seth goes to and Skinny dips in. It was a bad joke, but it was the end of the, it didn't even
Look at
hit.
you anymore.
It didn't even hit. So we could turn the lights back on. Are there any questions about hard light? Or was that just too easy that there can't be any questions? Yes.
That Fresnel attachment that you have, can that be put on a strobe? Just the way
If you bought, Nanlite makes one that's a size up, and if you buy the glow adapter, you can use the glow adapter and you can put it on a strobe. I do it all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I would say if you're gonna put one on a strobe, when I went to the 10-inch version, I felt like it didn't fill it well enough unless you use a strobe that was like completely bare bulb. But an 8-inch version I tested and I had good results with that.
Would you, if you wanted to remove the shadow from the background to keep the hard light on the subject, would you just use a fill?
Nope, I would pull her away from the background. And what I would do is I would cast the shadow away from her so that it fell off to the side. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Because as you know, there are levels to this. That's what I'm talking about. I had to
Any
do it.
idea how long you practiced that?
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. And everybody can give me my money back. I need to use this again. It took like 21 days to get that delivery.
All right. Thanks, Ab. We appreciate you. You can check out his series, Level Up with Ab Sesay on Adorama TV. This is the live events channel. Please hit subscribe for more live demos, including my own. I'm not even on camera, but whatever. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and Ab will be in those comments. Trust me, that's all he does is live in the comments.
Live in them. So even talk trash. I love it.
All right. Thanks, Ab. Take care.
Thank
Clap
you.
for Ab, Blast.